YouTube, what's up? Back again for another daily fishing video here on Andrew Upshaw Fishing. Got a real big load of stuff moved yesterday. Some fishing stuff, some house stuff, and everything in between. Still got quite a bit left to move, but we're getting there for sure. But I was sitting there today, and I wanted to go through my dad's tackle room. Well, lo and behold, I find one of my old tackle boxes. I actually found quite a few of them. I asked him about them. He's like, man, I just couldn't get rid of them. Had a bunch of old baits in them, and I'm really glad he didn't. But what it really reminded me is a few baits, discontinued baits, that I still use to this day. They're really, really hard to get, that I still use almost all the time. I mean, I have a couple of what I consider tournament baits that are in my boat at all times that are old discontinued baits. And then I have a handful that are still at my parents' house that I've just kept over the years. Honestly, I probably forgot about them. But definitely big-time fish catchers all times of year. But guys, real fast, if you have not subscribed to this channel, hit that sub button. Go and do it real fast. And comment below, what is your favorite discontinued bait? And there's a handful of discontinued baits that I won't show you today, but they definitely are still ones that are viable, and I still use them. And they're discontinued for one reason or another. So, hey guys, real fast, do that. Comment below what's your favorite, and subscribe if you haven't, and I hope y'all enjoy this video. Alright guys, today's video is going to feature a handful of my favorite discontinued baits that I still use and I think are still tournament viable to this day. Now granted, I'm going to show you my 4 and I'm going to talk about a handful of others that I don't have with me, that are still in my boat, that are still tournament ready, and you'll understand why. So the very first bait, I mean, it's a hard choice of which one to go with, but the first one I'm going to go with is a Deep We Are. Deep We Are was introduced to me by a buddy of mine named Kevin Marshall in Lufkin, and it's like a medium dive crankbait. Reminds you like a Bandit 300 or a Strike King 3, Series 3, 3XD-ish. It's kind of in between a 3 and a 3XD as far as diving ability. But that Deep We Are is probably one of, if not the very best crankbait ever made as far as that medium, small diving crankbait. You know, it worked on Rayburn, it worked on a lot of lakes. I've actually translated it into a lot of my success on rivers. My favorite color is far and beyond just a chartreuse blackback with a little bit of orange or red throat. Kind of, some of them came with a lot more red on them than the orange, but that chartreuse black obviously is like old school. But the cool thing about it, it has a real distinct knock to it. But that Deep We Are was 100% one of the baits that I started out fishing. I have a box full of these things because they are so viable. When they're, especially like in the fall, when that fall fishing gets really tough, that Deep We Are gets really, really good. Another one, now granted, I'm going to get knocked in the comments here, but it's definitely still a viable option. You can still get it, I guess, but it's the Excalibur One Knocker. You know, Booyah came back out with it. They made a handful of colors. But that Excalibur One Knocker, if you grew up like me on Rayburn, Toledo Bend, those kind of places, you had a box full of One Knockers. I don't care if they were halves, 3/4, whatever they were. You had a bunch. Now, granted, you can get a lot of different options now. You can go with the 2-tap by Strike King. There's a lot of, I think Bill Lewis has a One Knock. There's a bunch of One Knock available. But as far as like the OG, the original was the Excalibur, and a lot of guys swear up and down that the plastic's different, the sound's different, all that kind of stuff. I've used the Booyah one. I've caught a bunch of fish with it, so I don't know if it really matters. But vice versa, I've caught a bunch on the Strike King 2-tap when I think everybody's throwing this one. So I think it has a lot more to do with what the fish are traditionally hearing. You know, if you're fishing in an area that they're hearing traditional sounding rattle traps or lipless crankbaits where you rattle them and they make a lot of noise, and then you go through there with like a One Knocker style bait, they tend to react to that One Knocker style bait differently because they're hearing all the rest of them. So I think anytime you change your pitch, it works. But I know 10 years ago, like if you rolled up to Sam Rayburn, you needed to have at least one of these tied on because like there wasn't an availability of a bunch of different one knocking style lipless crankbaits at that time. There was like one, maybe two, if I remember correctly. So yeah, this thing right here, absolutely ridiculous back in the day fishing around grass and things. Now this one is one that a lot of y'all are going to recognize. And like I said, they've come back out with it too, is the P70. The Strike, not the Strike King, it was a Rebel, I want to say. The P70 popper, old school, like super old school. I mean, like you look at guys like Zell and some of those really old school topwater guys, they still throw it. You know, some of the best topwater fishermen I know still have a bunch of P70s, and they don't ever talk about them. But the P70, extremely viable option. Definitely one that I have tied on, especially in the post spawn, like right now, in certain parts of the country. So if you have a lot of fry garters, fish that are still kind of lingering shallow, still feeding up, that P70, like you can walk it in place. It's big, it's bulky, makes a lot of noise, and it's just one of those topwaters that you just can't, I mean, you just can't let go of. I can't let go of it. It's just the perfect topwater. My fourth option, and I probably should have put it number 1, but it's number 4, is the Strike King Wake Shad. And this isn't some big Strike King push because you can't get this son of a gun anymore. But this thing right here is ridiculous. And people know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I can talk about it now. But this thing right here is ridiculous. If you've never thrown a Wake Shad, I'm sorry. Probably not going to be able to get them. I think you probably get maybe one on eBay or something. There's a couple companies that make them now that are like almost identical to this one. I want to say 6 Cents makes one. I found one the other day, like a Fish Lab. I think it's by Okuma. They make the exact like replica of this thing. But this was my OG color that I threw all the time, just green gizzard. But yeah, like you can't hardly get a Wake Shad anymore. The Wake Shad was ridiculous. Like, if you have not tried it, oh my gosh, like it's just so good. But I'm not gonna say where to fish it, how to fish it, nothing like that. But if you haven't ever fished one, you probably should find one. Another one, and I don't have one with me right here. Another one of my favorite old school baits that you can't get, and it's an unfortunate situation, but Ed Chambers. You made the Zoom Weck, and some people know it as the WEC. I call it the Weck. Made the Weck one. Kevin Short basically made that thing super famous. I mean, the guy's won. God, I know he won Pickwick Elite Series event. I want to say he won Fort Gibson on it. I would say almost every win, if not most of every win that Kevin Short's ever had, came on the Zoom Weck, the one. And that's the ones that I have. I've only got like 6 or 8 of them, I think. And I have them in all the best colors. Like, and I got them whenever you could actually get them. And now you look on like eBay or something, it's like $75 to $150 a piece. The Zoom Weck, 1000%. One of the very best fall square bills you will ever find. It's a balsa square bill. It was carved by Ed Chambers, which passed away. Which is part of the reason you can't get them anymore. Now, to give you a few options as to go buy some, you can either get on eBay and pay a buttload of money, or I want to say Black Label Balsa came out with like a widely distributed Weck, and so did PH Customs. They came out with one that I would say about as close as that I've seen as far as like a true Weck. Like, now, Grant, once again, I'm going to probably get beat up in the comment section because there's going to be some old school balsa guys that are going to say, well, so-and-so carves one over here that's so good, and so-and-so over there carves one that's better than that, and that's fine. And I'm not saying that there isn't. I personally haven't found that. So if you do have one of those, and you have like one of those old school balsa guys that are carving them and selling them, let me know. I'd love to see it. Comment below and let me know what your favorite company is that makes those big balsa square bills. But guys, that's my 5 of my discontinued baits that I truly still use in tournaments to this day. I mean, from the P70, the Wake Shad, the One Knocker, and of course the Deep We Are, another big viable option. Thank you, Kevin Marshall, for that. Those are the 5 that I still use to this day for tournament success. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, hit that sub button in the bottom right-hand corner and comment below what is your favorite discontinued bait. I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the next one.